Well, so welcome back.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No. Do not mind.
Sorry about that. That was
Yeah, sorry we made you do that, and then the video was damaged.
yeah.
No. That was no. I mean, I do that shit all the time.
Yeah, you had a
was,
fun time.
That's not. I mean, I was probably gonna do that anyway.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
What?
Just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah,
Yo.
I love doing it where 40 heads. That's okay. Especially if you're at like a party for a good half of it.
Yeah.
Everyone you talk to,
Or
like,
just at home alone.
they're just like, hey, why
Yeah.
is there? Actually, Home Alone makes it best because you're definitely pissing your pants.
Right.
Because you're not supposed to ask someone for help, but most people will help you.
Have you done that by yourself? Have you taped up both of your hands?
By myself, no. But I mean, I've done it. Yeah, I've done it a lot of times.
I was gonna say that'd be impressive if you could get both 40s taped to your hands by yourself.
I could do it.
You would be the one.
I could do it.
Yeah.
You would be the one.
Hey,
You
maybe
could
that
do
should be your next Breakfast of Champions. Edward 40 Hands alone.
Yeah.
Instagram Reels are like...
and make it a 5-hour-long video. Don't make it short.
Just multiple parts. Yeah, because I
make
wanted,
it a saga.
I've wanted to do a bit of longer stuff. Instagram Reels, they're like, nah, that's like a minute or something, like
Yeah.
even less. And so, I could do Edward 40 Hands, but it'd be like a 120 part, just like
Yeah.
Reel set.
Yeah. That'd be great.
That sounds like
and
hell
it
to
would be a
edit.
real hero's journey. What led you to do it,
Yeah.
and then you're drinking and you're just divulging more information about why you're doing it. Yeah, that
just-
would be so fun to watch.
For a good 4 reels, you're just talking about Israel for a bit, and then
Oh,
it cuts
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And there's a whole crescendo of drunkenness, and at the very
Yeah.
end, right when you're about to get to the last one, you piss yourself and throw up.
Yeah.
Actually, Instagram Live, I've been thinking about getting into that.
Oh yeah. Well, IG Live.
Yeah. I think people need that.
Yeah, they do.
They need more content from you.
Yep.
I've been thinking the same thing myself.
I can't go live on Instagram. So
You got banned?
yeah.
Damn.
What did you do?
Oh, I was
What
just
didn't you
opening
do?
trading cards.
I will say, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, man, I really heard from Colin in a bit, and then I just I happen to open my Instagram, and first thing I see is like you and John, and like you guys are wearing suits and glasses, and you're just holding up Israel's rookie card,
Yeah.
and they're like the rookie card, and I'm like, I just woke up.
That's the goat right there.
I think
Oh,
I was
yeah.
I think I was hungover too. I'm
Yeah.
like, this
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
You're
So
like, yes, our greatest ally. Thank God. Yes, this is the content I needed. I was opening like Decision 92 cards, and I opened a Bill Clinton card where he's going like this, and I was like, he's describing the size of the wieners of the kids he fucks. And they just Instagram
I'm sure
Live.
they hated that.
Instagram Live just immediately took that down.
They don't get it.
They don't understand
Yeah.
that at all.
You got to be smart to get that one.
It's very nuanced.
Well, so
Yeah.
I wonder how many like human beings they have doing content moderation, because I heard one of like the worst jobs ever was being in YouTube, and you had to watch the videos that got flagged for X or Y thing. And you can find loads of articles of people interviewing. They're like, yeah, no, I've seen child porn. I've seen people like cartel beheadings. It's horrible, but like it pays.
Yeah.
Because they need, like, at least at the time, they needed people to do it with AI. Who the fuck knows? But like even then, they still use it a bit. But like I would never want to be one for Instagram Live. That sounds like hell.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd
That's
be
what makes
awful.
you the right man for the job.
Yeah.
But
You- you
I'd
don't-
be
you don't-
watching videos of myself at that
You
point.
don't want to
John.
hire the guy that's like, I want to watch the child porn and the beheadings.
Yeah.
I mean, if he like wants to watch child porn, he probably knows what child porn is. He's probably the best for spotting it, statistically speaking.
Sure, he'll probably be good at that job.
I mean, think about it. Like they use like the only legal
Like
slave labor in the United States
yeah.
is like convict labor.
Yeah,
Could
that's
we
true.
just get pedophiles
That's
and
not
be
a bad
like, you
point.
just do that? You're gonna
No.
be handcuffed behind the back. You're definitely not gonna be able to touch
That would
yourself.
save a lot of
but-
Yeah.
tax dollars, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
put,
think
put
about
them to
it.
good use.
You don't even have to pay him. No.
Well, yeah. Yeah. No, they're gonna do it for free. They'll pay you.
Yeah.
They'll pay you, dude.
ACLU,
From
no
prison.
lawsuits over that. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
No,
Speaking
no
of that,
one.
John's a scientist.
Oh yeah, I'm a pedophile scientist.
Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, I study astrophysics.
Okay.
So
So that's just a little about him.
I did my dissertation on quarks.
Oh, so you're a physics scientist and a pedophile. When you say
Yeah.
pedophile
So
scientist,
there's a
not scientist of
comma there.
pedophiles,
Yeah.
but
Sometimes I don't
scientist that
pause
is a
long
pedophile.
enough.
No, I
Yeah,
understand
people
the-
get confused.
I understand the confusion.
I
now.
legally have to tell you that I'm a pedophile scientist.
Is it like how like
I'm
legally you have
obliged
to
to let
address
you
somebody
know
as
that.
doctor or whatever and stuff? And so like
Yes.
if you're a pedophile,
It
just
is like
any
that.
sort of introduction
With the
to-
scientist
and
part.
with the scientist,
The
yeah.
other
like,
part,
This is Dr. Pedophile.
or whatever.
Yeah.
If you have kids,
This is nothing crazy.
Don't worry
Yeah,
about
please just
I mean, I imagine like
forget about it.
the classic pedophile knock on your door. By the way, I'm legally required. Like someone
Right,
moves into
yeah.
that would I mean if I ever had to do that, it'd definitely be nice to say doctor pedophile. You
Yeah,
know
I
what
was
I mean?
supposed to-
Opposed to just pedophile.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Um,
I'll say that
Yeah,
much.
guy knocks on the door. Yeah, I'm legally required to tell you I'm a pedophile scientist. So if your kids need some help with their homework,
Yeah, I can help
I'm your
them for
guy.
sure. I can help them for sure. Send them over to my house.
yeah.
Yeah, these the neighbors here, they all let their kids play in the yard. So I did that. I went door to door and told them all that I was a pedophile
did you really?
to get them out of that. I was like, I don't want these kids playing in the yard. So I went door to door and read the statement that I was. Yeah, never been. No.
The kids around here are
I
annoying.
just wanted to let them know.
Yeah.
Just a preventative measure.
Yeah, no, I'm doing my stand-up bits now on the podcast.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anyways, so what have you? So we completely fucked up the last one with the SD card got corrupted.
That's a shame. I was a little bit bugged. I'm just like
I know.
I was like they were loving this. I had a
It
great
was
time. I
so
like,
good,
what
dude.
happened
It was
to
so
Yeah.
fun.
I was
It was fun.
And we
yeah.
had four episodes on that, or 5 on that SD card.
Yeah.
And what we should do is just get Justin 5K on the case and see if he can break. I bet he could do it.
Yeah.
do what?
He would
break
take 5 hours explaining it, and then he could do it
Yeah, yeah.
in about
that's-
20 seconds.
Yeah.
But when's the last time you guys saw 5K?
It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been
he's
months.
disappeared, dude.
Getting into
He texted
dancing, I think.
He texted me. He sent me the New York Times article on the pedo hunters that are like violent. Did you guys read that?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, I've like heard stories about him. Yeah.
Yeah, like DAP, Dads Against Pedophiles.
Well, the Alaskan Avenger. I've heard of
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
Heard of him,
He's the goat. He's the goat.
Yeah, he's the
He's as good as it gets. I mean, he just killed him.
yeah. No, he
He
just killed.
killed him, dude. He just killed all the pedophiles.
I think I've seen the court video where he's like, "Did he kill?" Like, yeah, that killed him.
Yeah.
He's like,
On video?
no show, no
Did he
nothing.
make content
He killed
out of it?
No
he killed like
content.
20 pedophiles
Yeah.
in Alaska,
Mhm.
and he was known as the Alaskan Avenger. Anybody who was like convicted of pedophilia, he just became a serial killer where you'd find him, like
Wow.
Dexter type
Really?
shit.
Was it 20?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard it was definitely a few couple. But
Really? I could have sworn that I heard that it was 20.
I mean, it
I thought it was around
it-
11 or
Really?
like close,
because he's out now.
anyone really?
as he
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah, he's on Instagram.
Well, I also thought
That's
he had
awesome.
murdered some people in prison though, which is like a bit of a different thing.
pedophiles, man.
much
Well, no,
cooler.
because that's one of the reasons he did is because he was already like a convicted felon or whatever, who I think was just like abused as a kid.
Yeah.
So that was like the thing. So like he's like, I don't care, I'll do it. Like you know,
Yeah.
like he's
I
He's the
did-
hero we needed.
He really is. He's what Luigi. You know.
yeah.
what
I kind of like the
yeah,
3 strike
yeah.
policy, actually, now that I think about it. When you think about this,
What?
you know, if there wasn't a 3 strike policy, this man would never have killed all these pedophiles.
True.
Yeah, because if like
Yeah.
you gives you a 3 strike policy, basically once you get like 3 offenses on something, like basically life in prison,
Yeah.
or sure, like the penalties are so enhanced, you ruin that person's life. So I'm saying this guy just got 2 charges. He's like, fuck it, I could just kill pedophiles. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, you know?
Yeah.
It is interesting, like that our justice system is based off of, like a baseball game. You know,
3 strikes. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
that is, yeah, because I'm familiar with baseball.
Yeah.
And I know that once you have 3 strikes, you're out.
That meeting was about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they came up with that.
And then someone goes, well, what about the 9 innings? And they go, no, don't go into that. We're not going into the hitter's rotation. No, 3 strikes, you're out. That's it. You're going to prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well, my problem is, fucking, like, because 3 is also like in like, creative thing, like rule of 3, like in like just doing something 3 times is like a narrative thing or as a joke, especially.
For homosexuality, like.
Well, the problem is when it's with rape, I have a problem
3
there. I
things.
don't, I'm like, maybe the person should go. The person should have gone to prison for life for like rape number 1 at least, but like, we get to 3 and we're like, oh, should we do it now? I'm like, come on now.
Yeah.
That's what the judge thinks that way.
I tend to agree with you on that. We don't really want these people in society.
Yeah,
I would say that these people should probably be out of society.
Yeah.
That's a strong statement.
They should be out of society.
Here's the okay. But have you guys ever seen Louis Theroux's documentary "A Place for Pedophiles"?
I have not.
Because it's kind of it goes along with what you're saying. Basically, the UK came up with this idea where it's like, okay, well, we're going to create like a rehabilitation center for them, right?
Yeah.
They never can. You can't rehab that.
Well, no, just
like you're done. Your brain's fried. So they created this place.
You can't do it in like 3 years. Yeah.
So they created this place where they go, okay, once you pass these tests, we'll let you out.
Yeah.
And nobody has ever passed the test.
No, of course, yeah. No, it's
because the tests are show them child porn and put a thing around their dick to see if they get hard.
Really? Is that the test?
Yeah.
Wow, damn.
And they always fail.
Yeah, and then every day they're like, I think I'm ready to take the test again.
Yeah, wait a minute, Colin, hold on.
Yeah.
I didn't know the pedophiles infiltrated the government in that way.
Oh, bud, we got Andy Gold. He wants to come on. Andy Gold doesn't believe that there's a pedophile cabal that's like running the world.
He doesn't.
He does not believe that. He said if only there was evidence of that. So we're gonna have the printer over here, and we're gonna have it printing off a document every 3 minutes, and we're gonna do a 2-hour podcast where we're gonna convince him and like detailed information. Like, hey man, look, you're wrong. Yeah. You're wrong, dude. We'll play witness testimony from Bill Clinton's alleged victim.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Monica Lewinsky?
No. The child that was on the boat with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein.
Right.
They have New York Post got the deposition video.
Oh,
and
okay.
he's like, and he talks about it for like a half hour. It's fucking insane.
Colin, are you aware of the Florida pedophile leper colony?
What is that?
Okay, so this is like in the 90s in Orlando. And they updated the laws on like basically what counted as places that would affect where like someone convicted on the sex offender registry could live.
Okay.
Or whatever. So basically, I had things like parks and like schools, like those were already on the list. Well, exactly, yeah. But just because of the layout of Orlando or whatever, basically the only place you could legally live was under this like highway bypass.
Whoa.
In like Orlando under highway, and
it's Florida.
Yeah.
That's a dense population. Florida's a dense population.
Well, because at first you're like oh, they could just leave, or they could live somewhere else in Florida. It's like, no, like, because they're sex offenders, some of them have to stay in the state. They have to stay in that county. They have to be like monitored and stuff or whatever. So yeah, there was just like a little like pedophile
they created
leper.
A place.
Well, it wasn't like pedophile. It was just sex offender. Again, there's all that shit. But yeah, definitely a lot of like. It was an interesting crowd, I assume.
There was a Netflix doc about there's a park. There's a it might be what you're talking about, but it was a trailer park, and it was like they called it pedophile park because it was like that's the only area, because I think Florida does that throughout the entire state, and they created like basically this trailer park of just pedos, and they were interviewing them, and dude, you start to like.
I think I actually have heard that. Yeah.
You start to like, so you're watching it, and the guy's like, yeah, I was like in my room, and my daughter had like her friends over, and I was jerking off, and one of the girls walked in, and it's like, oh dude, that's all that happened. And then he's like, And then the second time, there's, and it's like, oh, immediately, never mind. You're sick. You should be locked up forever, right? Have you guys seen that?
I think I've seen that, and
Yeah.
like all the guys are like, oh, like it was like they always lie about the age of the girl.
Yeah.
Where it's always like they say like a few years older.
Yeah.
And it was like there's 16. It was like
Exactly.
14. Yeah. It was
Exactly.
just like it's
Yeah.
just always trying to fluff up.
Yeah.
This,
And we have, okay, so now, and then, okay, so in my mind I go, okay, well, there's that much that you could fill a fucking trailer park in, just one county in Florida, right? Of nothing but these people. What about our government? Then you start looking at like, okay, you got Epstein and you got the Clintons going there, and you got like all these people from, various corporations that are going there. You look at what was the thing in the 90s, 80s, 90s?
How do you feel about Mayfair?
What's that?
Mayfair, the cabinets.
Wayfair?
Wayfair, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know about that. That shit was weird. I do remember watching like Tim Dillon talking about that, where he's like, I was taking a flight, and by the time I landed, Wayfair, the cabinet maker, international pedophile traffickers. Yeah, that shit's weird, but I don't know too much about that. But what I do know about is that there is definitely a group that is running things in the world that is definitely engaged in this.
And being like selling furniture?
Or no.
Oh.
Trafficking.
Oh, sorry.
RFK just came out and said the DHS was trafficking, right? Or HHS was complicit in trafficking. This was literally just 2 days ago or yesterday.
Right.
So it's like, dude, if you don't think that they were getting kickbacks for that, they're getting money. They're getting money to do that for sure.
Does the person in charge of this, does their last name possibly rhyme with Berg?
Or Steen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. What are the odds of that?
Yeah. Or Jeebowitz.
I want to say it's a turn off in fact.
Yeah. Yeah, well, whatever.
I mean, like, man.
Liam doesn't believe in. You should know. Liam doesn't believe in any conspiracy theory.
Really? He looks
thinks-
like Sam Bankman-Fried.
I know,
So
Okay.
He thinks JFK. He thinks there was one shooter that killed JFK. He thinks that 9/11 wasn't an inside job. He thinks it's a terrorist attack.
No, tell the best one.
No,
The JFK.
no, I told him. I just said that.
There was one shooter at fucking. I like how
Really?
that. I am now the counterculture to the JFK conspiracy.
Yeah.
No, there was one shooter. Come on, bro. Come on.
Well,
Sure.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay, well, that's
Sure.
great.
I don't-
That's
I
great.
don't- I
Colin,
haven't looked at any of the-
there was only one. Yeah.
You think so? You think so?
I agree.
you think so, really?
Do you really?
Yeah, there's definitely only one. And he was the driver of the car. And he turned around and he blew his brains out and then turned right back. That's what the charcuterie board?
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie board film showed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Clearly.
Yeah, it's
Very
Magruder film.
clearly.
High frame rate on that one.
We got the books right here.
Oh, yeah,
We got the books.
That's true. We do. Have
If you
some
want,
good titles
if you
over
want to, if you ever want
You guys wanna
to
start
brush up
reading?
on, what do we got? We got the slavery, up from slavery, the Pentagon. Yeah,
I got that Mao biography in my apartment, Luke. You've seen it?
here. You like Mao?
Well. So I was.
Mao Zedong.
No, he's doing this
well,
thing
so-
where
No,
if,
shut up.
if you disagree with him, then he deflects because he doesn't want to have the conversation.
Oh yeah, I do that. with
Yeah, he does it
everyone.
all the time.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
I want to
See what I
explain
mean?
the bit. No, I want to elaborate. I want to do the opposite, actually. Of what
I
you
think
talked
we
about.
should talk about. So when the flights hit the towers on 9/11,
Yeah.
you don't think that there was any. You think they were just random terrorists. You don't think that there was any...
They weren't random kids. It was a developing anti-American radical jihadist insurgency that had been developing for decades, since at the very least the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan.
Okay. And what about Building 7?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one right there? So I have heard. That is an important point, and I will say definitely a bit sketchy on that, but I have heard...
You think that's sketchy? Well, how long does it take to set up a controlled demolition of a building?
I don't know. I don't do that stuff.
It's approximately 2 weeks.
Really?
How could they have demolished a building without any plane hitting it?
I don't know.
That day.
That day?
They did it that day.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Like,
it's not feasible.
You don't think so?
No.
You don't think so? Like, the buildings, because I've heard the Building 7. I will say I heard someone explain it to me.
From the
I
rubble
don't remember
and the
it now.
burning
So I'm not,
fuel. That's the official story.
I'm not going to try to argue with you with information I don't accurately know at the moment, so I'll just let you talk about, like, so like, what do you think caused that Building 7 to go down? Because I know, it went down.
Explosives.
And it was
planted.
You think explosive, like yes. within the building?
Yes.
Yeah. And why would they blow up Building 7?
Because they had insurance on it. Because Silverstein had the insurance, and he took it out 2 months prior. He took out insurance for terrorist attacks 2 months prior to 9/11.
They sell that?
The building,
really?
Yes.
That's a bit sus.
Yes.
The two towers.
That started in Britain, dead ass, because the IRA would purposely do that as a tactic.
The two towers were specifically engineered to be able to withstand being hit by a plane.
Oh, look, we're never running for public office at this rate.
Okay.
See what I mean with the deflecting?
But also try this on for size.
Try this on for size.
A month prior, they said that there was so much asbestos in these buildings that they had to be demolished anyways. And then a month later, that just out of nowhere, you have a terrorist attack that blows up both of these buildings, covered under insurance, and they needed to be demolished anyways because of the level of asbestos. Come on, man. They did this. They did it on purpose. There is no question.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that 9/11, an event notoriously defined as a motivation for the United States to have invaded Afghanistan, Iraq, invoked very, like
the
discriminatory and racist
what
policies. And you're telling me it's just an asbestos, like liability thing?
No.
I'm just curious. Is that...
I'm not saying that.
Because you just told me you sound like asbestos.
No, we wanted to go into the Middle East.
Yes.
You didn't say Jews at some point. I'm like, okay, homie really thinks asbestos is the top dog here. He hasn't even brought up Jews yet.
No,
it's
not
at
all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying every person from bottom up, the guy who owned this, up, had the incentive. The lowest level, this guy had the incentive. We got to demolish these motherfuckers anyways. We know the asbestos. They knew the asbestos in the 90s. They knew it from the 90s. We got to get rid of these buildings that have asbestos in it. They tried to blow it up with a fucking car bomb, and it didn't work.
Yeah, well,
right?
World Trade, 1997, right?
98. 97, 98, something like that.
He's still alive, dude. That's nuts. He's still in Florence. No, dude, that's nuts.
And then you have 9/11, right? And then the Pentagon gets hit with a fucking, and it happens to be right where 2.3 trillion. This is what I'm saying, is there's too many people with incentives for this, right? $2.3 trillion goes missing. Rumsfeld comes out on September 10th, 2001 and says, we have $2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon. Largest SEC investigation in history is starting on September 11th. And then the Pentagon, where all those documents are held, is blown up on that exact spot. There's no evidence that there was a plane that ever hit it. There's no the size of the rubble, there's no indication of a plane ever hitting it.
There's no plane parts?
There's no plane parts.
Afterwards?
They all disintegrated upon hitting the Pentagon. What I'm saying is there's multiple people who have incentives to do these things. It gets you out of Pentagon, it gets us into war in the Middle East, and
what were we getting out of the Middle East then? Because that is the main usually like pinpoint, especially at the time. Especially at the time, that was a justification to go there.
Saddam Hussein wanted to trade his oil for gold instead of the U.S. dollar. It is to keep in place the U.S. global currency manipulation stronghold.
Well, they had invaded. There was the first Gulf War. Like they've hated. He was trying to make nuclear weapons. Like they think he did, but got rid of them by the time we invaded 2003. I got rid of them. Like they have every reason to fuck off Saddam Hussein. I don't think it's just an oil thing.
What you're saying right now, that's called manufactured consent.
Yes.
That's what they report so that everyone in the country goes, oh, we got to go after these guys. Yes. And it seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
They'll fabricate shit. They'll make shit up.
That's what they did. Yeah.
There were no
George W. Bush's dad was the guy who fucked up. They committed a war crime on the fucking highway of death, according to some people. Like, that shit was horrible. So, like, of course they'd fuck up. They were probably
what do you think would stop them from committing a war crime on their own nation?
Well, because that was kind of the issue with the Iraq War in 2003, was that there was no, because Afghanistan at least made sense. There were definitive ties between the Taliban and, Al-Qaeda, was a good idea. I mean, that's a whole different story of itself, but you can at least, on paper, it makes sense. Yeah. Iraq never did make sense, because, they failed to provide, because it was really on WMDs, that again, at the time. That was
all false reporting, and they knew it was lies at the time.
Yeah. Well, because again, Saddam Hussein is just someone they had always wanted to get rid of. George W.
My point is, the media lied to us on purpose, lied to the American people at the time on purpose, to get us into war with a country that didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and they knew they didn't have weapons of mass destruction, but they reported it anyways to get us into the war. Same thing with Syria, right?
Why? Did they do that to get out of an asbestos liability lawsuit? Because that's what you seem to be arguing.
No, that was never my point.
Is asbestos liability not the core of this? That's my impression.
That was never the point of that, and you know that, and you know that.
No, I don't. No,
it was lowest level. No, it was lowest level up, right? And this is the same thing with the international pedo trafficking, right? Is you have these judges that are local where they let the fire chief off, right? It was the fire chief or something, and he had all this shit. He had terabytes, right? And then the judge lets him off, and then they investigate the judge. They were trading amongst each other. So then it's like, if they do that on the low level, what do you think they do on the high level? And that's what I'm saying here is, on the low level, the owner of the building wants them destroyed for asbestos. On the higher level, our government wants to go to war with Iraq. So you have all the incentives all the way down.
Oh, well, I will agree with you that it's a domino effect where people do not know, they're not all contributing to the same goal knowingly, all being part of it. It just happens to be a bunch of people who want what's happening right now is in our favor. They don't know half the shit about anybody else involved in this, but they're like, I will give you that. Yeah.
Okay, so 2005, there's a unredacted Oval Office meeting where Dick Cheney proposed that we were to take a U.S. naval ship, paint it like an Iranian, take U.S. naval SEALs and put them in Iranian military garb, and attack a U.S. cruise ship.
Iranian.
No.
Iraqi. Who are the SEALs painted as? Sorry.
Iranian.
Sorry.
Okay, because we want to go to war with Iran because our little hat friends over there really don't like them, right? So they wanted a U.S. naval ship to attack a U.S. cruise ship. How they would have done it once, if they were to have it approved, would have been the same thing with this. They would have found an old cruise ship. They'd have had someone in one of their buddies that goes to their meetings at Bilderberg or at one of these fucking conferences, World Economic Forum, and they just said, you got an old cruise ship, you want us to blow it up and you get the insurance money. They'd have taken out the insurance on it a month prior, 2 months prior, and said, well, we need to be prepared in case, we get attacked. They would have done it, and that would have been how it happened. And then it would be the same thing where you'd be going, oh, well, the asbestos. Oh, well, the insurance. Oh, it was all for insurance money? No. All these people have common interests. Yeah. They wanted to go to war with Iran. They wanted to go, in our case, in this case, they wanted to go to war with Iraq. They wanted to overthrow Saddam. because Saddam was trying to trade oil for gold, not the U.S. dollar. It was all about keeping the U.S. as the world's reserve currency.
Well, okay, so for first on Saddam Hussein and all that, I'm most certain that was, especially when you think about OPEC, the crisis like during the 70s, like yeah, like it was definitely conscious of it. Granted, you know, Saddam Hussein was not the only major Arab country of like that had a lot of oil and stuff who could exert that control and stuff. But I can definitely see that being a very contributing factor, being why to, you know, fuck with Saddam Hussein, whatever. And I think that was a very big thing, whatever. Again, public media, WMDs, and I think it truly was, but, you know, like...
Those are lies.
Saddam Hussein had WMDs, like, again, well, so after after the first Gulf War, he found out that because they just did that because he invaded Kuwait. And they drove him out, and so I actually I just graduated with a college degree, folks.
Hey, congratulations!
And my final paper details on the fact that Saddam Hussein definitely had chemical weapons. That was true, and was trying to get nuclear weapons. Aided by Pakistan. His name was ABQ Kabul. He was out of Pakistan. He had it was a very interesting thing because I think it was described as like all the Arabs, you know, they're very like connections based society, you know, like and especially with like I mean like Pakistan's not, you know, Arab or whatever, but especially like in Saddam's place, you know, all the people who were big in that were his relatives or whatever and stuff, but no, they got him, he's just ripping them off.
Okay, who was Osama bin Laden?
Osama bin Laden, he was the son of a Saudi architect, or like a construction mogul, so to say, or whatever. He was. I don't know if he was in Afghanistan during the Soviet-Afghan War, but definitely a byproduct of it, in the sense of just like, a very crystallizing moment. Because when we think about the Muslim world, especially the Arab Muslim world, you know, up until World War I, the last caliphate was the Ottoman Empire. But then it fell, and then you had Britain and France, you know, come in. They create Israel. That's an entire thing to them. And, you know, the Britain had already had India and Pakistan for a bit, and then that breakup is very... to people in that, like, especially, like, traditional Muslim world, that is seen as shit. And then the Soviet-Afghan War happens, which is very, very ironic, because it's really just, like, a very, like... in the context of the Cold War, a very basic... interaction.
You're talking in circles a bit. Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like
he was a member of what group?
He was part of Al Qaeda. Officially Al Qaeda. Yes.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like the Mujahideen in Afghanistan during the war. Yeah.
And he was FBI's most wanted.
Before or after?
Before 9/11, he was FBI's most wanted.
Okay,
but either
do you know the specific ranking? I'm just curious.
But either way,
I'm sorry. I'm most certain he was. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was one. Before 9/11.
Right.
But the point more is after 9/11, 100% the entire weight of the U.S. government is on this guy. They want to find him, right?
Yeah.
Who interviewed him in 2003? Who interviewed him?
Osama bin Laden?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he sent videotapes to what do you mean?
No. A journalist walked into a cave and interviewed Osama bin Laden. So you mean to tell me that a journalist with a camera crew was able to find this guy in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, but the intelligence agency, I think it was like ABC News, but the entire intelligence agency wasn't able to find him, and you believe that?
Well, I think ABC could have just gotten the footage from someone else.
They went in and interviewed him. Post
9/11.
Yeah, and this is my point: is if a journalist is able to find this guy and the entire weight of the U.S. government can't, there's a reason for it. We needed a boogeyman. You have to keep the boogeyman around so that we can continue the war, because continuing the war is the most important part. Why would you start a war if you can finish it? Fuck that. Let's make so much money off of this, because the people who start the war are the people who profit off of it.
Well, so I guess the crux of my question is, do you think there are at least a core group of people who are contributing to one main goal, and they have looped in a bunch of other people who happen to benefit from the process to achieve that main goal? Or do you think this all just is a very like just random kind of assortment of people?
No, I think there's a group.
So what is the core goal then of 9/11?
I think the core group only cares about profits and gaining more control over the population. And I think that core group is probably a group of corporations.
Can I have the Sprite?
Yeah, go for it.
I have the Sprite.
You want to pour it in that glass?
I mean, I can waterfall it.
Okay, whatever. You can hit your lips off of it. I don't care.
I was gonna say the bad word, but no.
What? You can say it.
I cannot. No.
No, we're gonna be on Rumble too. So. No, I think it's a group of corporations. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, that was a poor decision.
Yeah,
you should have just poured it in the cup, dude.
Should have put your lips on it.
I knew this was going to make an interesting podcast.
Corporations, though, are what's in control.
That sounds fun. Just curious. When do you think corporations officially took over? Because I will say they have taken over. Yeah, no,
but probably the 1950s, 1960s.
No, okay.
I would say around then. They keep warning about this oligarchy right now because Elon Musk came along. We've had an oligarchy, in my opinion, since probably about the 1960s. I would say that's when it really... I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that the First World War and Second World War were bankers' wars, and I think that it was the international banking cartel. So the argument could be made that they've been in control since then. But I think that more recently, the oil corporations, I think, have a huge role in this. And yeah, I mean, there's just... You're going to war for Nestle, dude.
Well, so I will say, first off, World War II. I don't think World War I too much of a banker war. Definitely banker influence, of course, even indirectly. But World War I, especially the United States involvement, especially because World War I famously had no reason, period. Yeah. So of course, banking, but. That being said, you're right. There is no oligarchy because they ain't no octopuses in charges right now.
You're doing the thing.
What do you mean?
The deflecting thing.
What do you mean? He said there's an oligarchy. I'm like, no, there ain't no octopuses in charge, right? No.
Here's my point. Here's what.
Sorry.
When it comes to the wars, these banking cartels came along, and they influence world affairs, right? And everyone has their reasons for why certain countries join the war, the escalation. But the stoking of the flames is done by corporate interests.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that's kind of that's why you call it a banker's war. The bankers were the ones stoking. I mean, look at, the Napoleon...
World War II, especially when you consider the United States, like, the bombing of Pearl Harbor, to a certain point, again, because World War II is a very ideological thing, but World War I, yes, you're right, even before the war, a big part of the supercharge, because, World War I could have had started, decades before, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, but, but a big part of that was, there were, industrialization, and there were capitalists, there were people being yo, I get money off of how many rifles, how many, especially like the navies, the new ships they had, that was obscene amounts of money involved in that, of course, exactly, and they definitely kept pushing to be yo, dude, if you want to, we'll bank, we'll bankroll your entire budget for this, and shit, it was always a thing. Whereas World War II, I think at a certain, I think it's very indirectly, and really it is a banker's war too. Yeah, because this is about how how much, especially because a big thing Hitler talked about was his Jewish conspiracy, the money concept was a very important part of it. Although though when you look to the fall of the Germans in World War I, a very big part was just the fact that Britain cut off their food supply very well, especially in a war context, to where just especially no one knew what the fuck World War I was going to be like.
But then you come along to the Gulf War, and don't you feel like that's also a banker's war? Because
the first one?
Yeah.
Well, I will say, so there's the Gulf War to me, there's the Gulf War and the Iraq War. Some people do first Gulf War, second Gulf War. I just prefer Gulf War because, like, A, it equates in the Persian Gulf, that's what I called it.
Yeah.
Iraq is, like, that was, also because it was distinctly a post 9/11 event. I mean, well, Kuwait, I will say, I actually heard this very good take from someone who talked about, like, so all the major U.S. oil companies, what they tell the United States is do not fuck with Israel, okay? Like don't hang out with them. Like don't associate with them because obviously, you know, like they like, you know, a lot of them are even like Egypt or Saudi Arabia who are like, you know, officially aligned with the United States to a neutral way, especially compared to I was at a lecture when I was in college about this. No, from this guy. Well, so he said the Israeli-Lebanon war.
Yeah.
And during the questioning, someone asked him, like, hey, like, you know, he asked about religion in the conflict, basically. And he's like, you see, that's one thing I learned studying this is, here we think it's like a Jew like Muslim thing, where when you go over there, like, no, it's like an Arab nationalism thing, and then also an Israeli, like yes, religion's a part of it, but there is a very steep, like, you know, kind of thing where it's like, this isn't a religion thing. This is like, we want to be here.
Yeah.
Is this art, especially like when you think about like a nation state in like a European context.
And you've been?
Have I been there? No.
Have you been? You've never been. You've never been.
You call it, I will, we can crowdsource the funds for me and you to go to Israel.
No, I was referencing the Douglas Murray podcast where he said that to Dave Smith. They were debating Israel-Palestine, and he was like, and you've never been to the region? You've never been, but yet you discuss it? Yeah. I've never been there. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, that's why I love the American concept of just jackasses who pull up and just do nothing but drink and just be.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many people I've met at bar. Like, I met this one guy from Ukraine at Twilight. You know, because I was like a fuckhead who would just hang out there at like 4 p.m. You know, And like, you know, he's like, yeah, I'm from Ukraine. You know, I've been here for a bit. You know, like the, you know, the war's still going on. You know, and this was even a few years ago. And I'm like, you know, yeah, man, yeah, that shit's, you know, that shit's pretty interesting. It's like, I'm glad it's interesting to you. And I'm like, man, fuck, dude. I'm just doing blow at Twilight right now. And
why else would you be at Twilight?
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, fuck, bro. I feel like.
Okay, let's move off the geopolitical, the war and all that stuff. Let's
because I was beating
you guys clearly know more than me. So.
Oh, dude. We go for fucking hours on this.
Do you know a Lincoln Douglas debate?
What's that?
So Lincoln. I mean, if you're ever in debate club or like any debate thing in like, you know, public school or whatever, high school, whatever. Basically, so Lincoln Douglas goes from Abraham Lincoln and then I think Michael Douglas or whatever. But basically, these two politicians who, you know, up until Abraham Lincoln got elected, did a series of debates throughout like the United States, specifically about like how important slavery was to the United States. Yeah. Michael Douglas debate was like
Oscar winner Michael Douglas is on the side of slavery or something.
I want to say I am drunk. I do not. I know the last name is Douglas. Is that Michael? If John Carter thinks he truly is of slavery, that is not legally binding. Anyways, and well, then Abraham Lincoln was anti-slavery, which is like he didn't want to abolish slavery, but he didn't care for it too much. But anyways, and so like it was just kind of like just a series of debates. So I feel like we should go to the occupied Gaza.
Sure.
Just do a series, and then like every debate that we flip a coin, and then we figure out who's pro-Israel and pro-Palestine.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
That is debate.
Yeah.
What? That would be amazing. What do you mean?
Do you think Abraham Lincoln was a tyrant?
A tyrant?
Yeah.
I mean, the most significant violations of the Constitution was like the Alien Sedition Act is currently being. No, because
but also arresting the Maryland. Also arresting the Maryland constituent. What was that? The House.
What do you mean?
The Maryland House, dude. He arrested like the fucking entire Maryland. I think it was the congregation. think it was the Maryland.
Oh yeah. During the Civil War, so his main thing was sedition. It wasn't like who somebody was, but what were they saying about the current Civil War?
Yeah.
And it will explode. Yeah, it is considered a very. It is kind of
aggressive.
Well, it is. It's rather weird because like Abraham Lincoln is the most like cited important person of like the United States government history. And like seriously, he like our entire history even to this day is dictated by his actions and his understanding and stuff. But he was doing some pretty fuck shit. Yeah,
it's literally 1 and 2. It's going to be George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. I wonder. Those are the two goats.
I do not. We'll say in a cultural context, appreciation context, George Washington especially, but that's because he was first and he had the war hero.
Yeah, and creating the country.
Mm-hmm. Well, because even then though because when he was president, that was the Articles of Confederation, or whatever. Well, because he famously did 2 terms, and the whole president was set until FDR was like, I just don't want to be president anymore. Yeah. This fucking sucks. George Washington famously was like, I hate doing government administrative business. He was a good general, yes, but fucking running a country, I hate this. I'm only doing it because he almost
the country needs me.
He could have died if he didn't rally at Valley Forge. He's like, we're fucking running this shit, but that was the motto, ever since then. But I mean, I think you want to say that officially in political culture, I'd say the 6 presidents after George Washington collectively incredibly important because they were, despite the fact, Hamilton, all this shit that happened, they were still very formal.
Montana? What'd you say?
Huh?
What was that last thing you
Hamilton.
said? Hamilton.
Are you worried doing cocaine in today's America?
Bathrooms?
Yeah. At the bathroom at the
restrooms.
Yeah. Are you terrified at the shitter at Twilight when you're doing the rail off the sink?
No. Because you're a man of letters. You should know my personality is very caustic initially, to where if I meet someone at a bar, there's no way in Christ they're gonna let me do cocaine with them.
Okay.
Because I can't make that.
Do you trust it?
Do I trust it?
When you do it?
I don't care.
You don't worry about the fentanyl?
Trust is a relative concept.
You're not worried about the fentanyl
crisis?
No, not really, no.
Wow.
I'm at Twilight, Colin. Why would I care?
That's fair.
Good point.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah.
If you're doing coke at Twilight, you are kind of expecting a little bit of fentanyl in your cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do coke, for the record, but
if you were to.
Yes, exactly. In Minecraft. Anyways, I have. If I would to do, I had never done it off a, toilet thing or whatever and stuff. If I was in Minecraft hypothetically within the premises, yes.
Okay.
Well,
that's good to know.
Well, yeah, I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
Hey, dude, Colin brought that up. John Carter. I don't need the. No, sorry.
So, anyway, we were talking about Lincoln. Now, Lincoln, he sort of set the precedent for the president taking powers that he probably shouldn't, right? Isn't that kind of the problem with Lincoln?
Yeah. During the war. Sorry.
Hey,
you go.
You gotta give it to him though. I mean, what he did ended slavery.
Yeah.
You gotta give him his props.
Well, no, right. He famously didn't care about. Well, so basically the reason.
There's no way that motherfucker didn't care about.
He wasn't abolitionist. He was anti-slavery. Basically, I won't go out of my way to do it, but famously in his inauguration speech, he's like, if a bill comes across my desk and they're abolish slavery, I will sign it, because there were kind of 2 factions in the against slavery debate. Was the anti-slavery, which was mainly poor whites. That was the Republican Party. Yeah. Was lower class white people who obviously definitely hurt the most off of slavery, because they don't have they're slaves. They don't have to pay them wages much like anything else.
Yeah.
So
which is in my opinion the current
best part of a slave.
The current system.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the best part of a slave, is you don't have to pay them a fucking dime. You bought them. You bought them.
That's kind of why you do it.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly. But I would say that's currently what's going on with the illegal immigration. is that they're basically slaves. They've basically created a permanent underclass of slaves. They come in and work in our factories for less than minimum wage, and then lower income whites are the ones who are going, hey, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't get a job at the bimbo factory.
I see the parallels you're making. Yes, I see the parallels. I will say, I think that just means undocumented immigrants is, well, especially in the American South, like the slave planter class of the white people who own the black people was very small compared to the slaves they own. Like, I think North Carolina was like 9 black people to every one like white person. Like the ratio, like all of Southern society was based around slavery, and stuff or whatever. So there was a very direct core bias of like against that or whatever. Where I think with right now with like the undocumented immigrants and all that stuff, like that I think that is a core driving factor of it is like there are people who are already on the bottom rung, here in the United States who are white, but because of we have immigration laws, or whatever. But the fact of an undocumented person here is the government doesn't know about this person. You can pay them whatever the fuck you want. I do see the connection you're making there. Yeah.
I think Bernie was right in 2016 when he said illegal immigration is a Koch brothers scheme. Mm-hmm. I think he was spot on with that, and I wish he would have kept that fucking.
I will say that.
When do you think they got to him, and how do you think it happened?
I don't know.
Were you guys ever into Bernie?
Yeah, I went to his when he was. I saw him in 2020. Really? When he came here.
And was that before he fucking...
He lost his spine in 2016 when he conceded to Hillary.
Right. After they stole it from him, right?
Yeah, they stole it from him. They killed Seth Rich for exposing it, and then they just wrapped it all up in a bow. And yeah.
So who
that was the WikiLeaks thing, and that was Seth Rich.
And I wonder... Has anyone reported on how they got to him, what they have on him, what they're holding over him?
Oh well, that was the thing.
The speculation on that.
That was the thing Dallas was saying was that allegedly there was, Bernie Sanders and his family was. This is all alleged, and there's just one witness that says that,
according to the internet.
Yeah, this is just one witness on the internet saying this. So who knows if it's true or not? But allegedly, Bernie Sanders was dragged into a room with his family at gunpoint and forced to, do what they do. Yeah. To get blackmail on you. Yeah. On camera. And
that's horrible.
Getting blackmailed at gunpoint.
God.
Jesus.
Like watching The Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, yes. At gunpoint, they made him watch.
He's like, he's crying.
They have the gun. They have the gun at his head, and then it's this scene. There's one scene that I will give The Big Bang Theory, and it's Sheldon is in the superintendent's office or whatever, and she's black. And he has this gripe with women, and he's like, women are slaves to their emotions. And he looks at her and he goes, like you're a slave. And as a black woman, and it's very funny. Her reaction is perfect. It is actually a very funny scene. And they show Bernie Sanders that, and at gunpoint he goes,
his wife can't even watch.
Yeah, and they take that moment of him laughing, and they're like, "Look at what we got on you."
Yeah, he fucks up once, and it's just like in Times Square in the fucking giant thing. Him going.
Y'all ever watch iCarly?
No.
I think so. I will say for what you were saying, so one of the side characters. One of the few peoples on the show who was a person of color. Probably, actually, I'll argue with the only one was this guy who worked at the smoothie shop. Yeah. They would always go to, and he was like there or whatever. And then so Michelle Obama. This was in the 2000s.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That would have been all when he was a kid.
You were like 10 when that show was big.
I'm 23 too. I watched that.
You watched iCarly growing up?
I had 2 sisters.
It was part of how they were raising all the kids gay.
I mean, when you were a kid,
overtly.
Pretty much.
I watched Drake and Josh.
Yes,
that was what I watched when I was a kid.
And did you feel that there was a lot of pressure in school to be gay?
No.
And
which one are you talking to here?
Both either of you. One. I'm saying kids of your generation. Is it true what they say where they like really want to make you gay on purpose?
Not at all.
Really?
I think it's just
you're thinking
nonsense.
Gen Alpha or whatever they're calling those faggots.
That's the one after you.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
You guys never got into the whole trans kick, the whole trans phase.
You guys? No. Multiple people. Well, so they ended up. I will say for me,
I have a stutter.
Not a natural one, but when I was growing up as a kid, my friends just would really, because we play video games all the time, headset, and they would always cut me off. And then, so especially when I'm trying to be shut the fuck up,
yeah.
I do it.
Okay, because we're letting you talk, and I feel like your mind is going a little faster than your mouth, and you have to catch up.
I ain't no stuttering Stanley, I'll tell you what.
Okay, I just want to make you feel comfortable.
Oh, no.
Also, you guys are sitting really close together.
Yeah,
that's been bugging me the whole time.
I'm at the edge of the couch.
Yeah.
It's not the world's most comfortable couch.
Do the Jeff Dye zoom on this, dude. Do the Jeff Dye zoom on that Red Bar.
Those thunder eyes.
Dude, we were watching Red Bar, Scars Club members.
Yeah, you guys are into Red Bar?
You into Red Bar at all?
No, I don't think I know what that is.
What's Red Bar?
It's just comedy hate. It's so good,
It's just shit from our generation, mine and Collins, that we're both in.
Yeah,
together.
We're into together.
The same one.
It's he just I don't know, if a musician or a comedian fucks up, he points it out, and it's very funny. And one of them was the Jeff Dye and Chris D'Elia on some podcast, and Jeff Dye's standing there, and he zooms in, and there's no bulge on his dick. His pants are tight.
His skin tight jeans.
But I was pointing out that there is a bulge. You should zoom in on that.
This is Biden's America, okay?
Yeah, that's the biggest bulge I've ever seen in my life. It's massive. Just for the record.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colin.
Now, we're just hazing you because you've graduated.
I will say, I think you brought up an interesting thing, Colin, since me and Luke are a bit younger than you, why don't we bring up, our earliest comedy references, because by the time we learned that, they were, the time frame, just difference, For me, it was Daniel Tosh 0.0.
Yeah.
That was the first proper.
That's great.
What's your guys' opinion on that?
That came out when I was a freshman in high school, and it was fucking amazing. I watched it every week. Yeah, it was great.
John?
Well, for me, it was because I was a very devout Mormon. But even
you watched Talk Soup.
Yeah. But even while I was a Mormon, I got into Louis, probably in my college years. And that was
But what's your opinion of Tosh.0?
Yeah, you just
I love Tosh.0. Yeah, I watched that too around the same time, actually. Yeah, so that was an early influence for me.
But I did watch Talk Soup before Tosh.0.
Talk Soup?
Talk Soup, or it was The Soup, and it was Joel McHale. It's basically the same thing.
What was it on?
Fuck.
Well, because famously Daniel Tosh had a beef with this one guy on MTV.
It was on E.
Entertainment, like E News.
News, yeah. It was it was their comedy thing, late night. They were trying to compete with all the comedy shows that were on late, and it was Talk Soup, and I think Andy Dick was the host or something. But when I watched it, it was Joel McHale, and I think it was just called The Soup, and it was pretty funny. But then when Tosh.0 came along, it was he's doing it 10 times better. It's way funnier. Because Daniel Tosh is hilarious.
Oh, no, well, so it was funny. I first watched Daniel Tosh as a kid. I was in elementary school.
When Tosh.0 came on?
Well, so basically, my dad and mother would watch shows in the living room or whatever on the TV. I was the oldest, I had 2 younger siblings or whatever, within 3 years. So kind of say whatever, but a very common occurrence in the house would be my dad just putting. I saw the Pulp Fiction overdose scene when I was 3, because my dad would usually just come home from work.
Didn't care.
Well, he's just whatever. He's
I'm watching it, The kid just happens to be in the room.
Well, especially like the Pulp Fiction over scene, like it's intense, but like it's not like it's by no means the most graphic scene on entertainment by any means. So that was the thing. Well, so my dad would always watch Tosh Point Out, and my mother would always. Well, so my mother's from the South. She was very critical of the media me and my siblings consumed because she was like middle class, like like white. She was in Danville, South Central Virginia.
Yeah,
and I guess to frame of reference, Danville was the final capital of the Confederacy before the end of the Civil War.
When did you get on the internet?
I was about 12, and I will. So it's funny. I found out about pornography by just deducing it.
Yeah,
I was kind of being like, because I was just watching on television. I'm like, I know I can find these women's breasts. I know about the internet. Like I'm aware of it. Yeah. I can find it out. Like within a month now, I figured out pornography. But
you were 12.
That's
when you found it. 12.
Fifth grade. Yeah.
5th grade.
Wow, yeah, that's way too soon.
Because I didn't have any older. I didn't have any older like friends or people or whatever I hung out with enough to. Because I know a lot of people be like, "Oh, I heard about porn from an older person or a friend." It's like, no, like I deduced that.
We're 12.
I was probably a little bit at the porn or internet.
Yeah, the porn.
I'd say I was probably like
the internet porn.
Internet porn,
the crazy shit.
I had a friend he had an older cousin. So when I was 10, my friend was 12, and his cousin was like 15.
You don't have to say his friends' names, though. Would I know them?
I'm not gonna say no. I'm from Connecticut, so it was back east.
Dude, I'm gonna hit you guys with a crazy one. PSP.
I never had a PSP. No,
Did not have a PSP.
Nothing else.
My dad had a PS2, and he would play college football games.
Dude, fuck yeah! I had a PlayStation 1. Well, my dad had a PlayStation 1, and I would play it all the time. PlayStation 1, fucking NCAA football '99, Ricky Williams. That was my shit. But PSP, 2004 it comes out. 2005 I would have gotten it. Porn station portable, bro. You could go on the internet. You could connect to Wi-Fi in 2005 and
get on a train
and get fucking get on 4chan and fucking just start beating your little fucking wiener.
So on a PSP.
Yeah,
how are you connecting to that? Like just wirelessly?
Yeah, Wi-Fi.
Like in 2005, I know that was a thing. Damn.
Yeah, it would have been 3G. 2G, whatever. It was slow.
So by 2005, that's nuts.
So when you've got a phone, it was just adding a telephone to your porn machine, basically.
Yeah. Yes, dude. The PSP was one of the most advanced pieces of technology at the time.
Wow.
It was because it was like one of the first things where it was like I can connect to Wi-Fi and I can fucking look at pornography.
Yeah.
And I would go on 4chan. I would go on like just whatever was on the internet.
And your mom thinks you're shooting zombies.
And my mom thinks that I'm playing Madden. 04.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, only Batman could get me to say this, but fuck it, man. I have jerked off to pornography on a Nintendo 3DS.
There you go.
Wow.
The 3DS.
Yeah, that's the same kind of deal,
in Mexico, no less.
With a stylus.
Yeah. But I would jerk off till I peed.
Peep? What?
Peed. Urinated.
Peed.com.
I would jerk off. I would jerk off. Peed raw.
Peed blacked.
I would jerk off until I started pissing, and then I would run to my trash can and piss in my trash can.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
I never heard of that.
And then after that, then I started coming. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was jerking off before.
You thought peeing is what it was all about.
Dude, I was like, bro, once you start pissing, that's the best feeling ever, man. When you piss with a hard dick, my God. Nothing better in the world.
And then one day it was just jizz, I assume.
Yeah.
And what did you think then?
Oh, dude, my life was changed forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was there for the transformation. That's the beauty. That's
it was
the
like
beauty
a gradual thing.
Yeah. Where it was like,
this pee's getting thick.
No, it was like,
drink more water.
No, it was like there was no piss and it was just like clear. clear liquid.
Right.
And it's like, oh, they're starting to work.
Right, because
I was there for the boot up, dude. I was there for the boot up, bro. I was there for every day of the boot up.
Yeah, you're like a little scientist studying your own puberty.
Yeah.
If you kept a notebook of that, you could like submit it somewhere.
It was, yeah. There was probably, I'm not kidding, like the pissing phase was probably only about 3 weeks. And it was every day.
Wow.
And it was I was there for every day of the boot up of my nuts, dude. Till they started producing cum.
Wow.
Yeah. I was there for every second of it.
Yeah.
So that was that.
You close the bathroom door, you're like, Mom, I'm a man now.
Dude, and I remember like right around that time when I was every fucking dude. I go, it's Mr. Shoemaker now. I'm a man. I just busted my first fucking nut, you dumb bitch.
That's Mr. calling him Shoemaker to you.
Yeah, and I remember I got my first hair one of those times that I was pissing in the trash can.
Right, yeah.
Fuck, dude. I was as cool as you could fucking get, man.
You go to brush it off, and you're like, wait a minute, this one's not brushing off.
Yeah. And then you pull it, and you go, it's Mr.
Yeah.
You stupid bitch.
You next time you go to school, you get your shirt tucked in with a belt.
Yeah.
You're wearing a college shirt with a pocket. You're very serious. You're taking notes.
No, I got a leather jacket.
You're like, I got a family to support.
I got a leather jacket and a fucking like candy cigarette.
There you go.
And I'm like,
you're right in a trike.
You can't tell. I need new friends, man. You guys can't tell me a thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's John.
What?
He's got the device.
Oh yeah, dog.
Ew.
There you go.
Still drops it. Yeah, you need that.
Yeah.
You tell me, man. You tell me.
So
what do we have?
What do you guys think about what's going on these days? You like Doge? That's like a young people thing.
Like the Department of Government Efficiency?
You into Doge?
I mean, I don't particularly care for it. I don't depend on the government efficiency thing, but I just hate Elon. I hate South Africans. I'm going to keep it real. White South Africans specifically.
You hate Elon because of racism. Now, I like that angle. That's not an angle you hear a lot. You hate Elon.
It's because he's white.
And it's because of where he's from and the color of his skin. Those are your words.
Well, no, it's because he's a cunt, and I hate South Africans to begin with.
Yeah.
I hated South Africans prior to Elon being irrelevant.
Now, what about Africans?
What about black Africans?
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion on this.
What? Do you know any?
I mean, me and Luke, we knew this one guy from, what was it, Ghana?
What was it, Ghana? You're talking about...
I don't think I know
Cameroon.
who you're talking about.
Yeah, it was Cameroon. There's that one guy who pulled up the wild pepper a couple times.
That one guy.
You mean Detroit?
Okay, I see you're just manipulating.
Dude, we had one at my job. Taller than me, straight out of fucking inner Detroit or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was a Packers fan for some reason.
Oh, sure.
They must have lost in a Super Bowl, and he had the hat or something.
Did you want this?
So
take a little hit.
But he didn't know any English. I didn't know any of click clack.
Yeah.
So we would just say hi. We would see each other in the break room. I'd be like, hey. He'd be like, hey. And then he'd be like, Packers. And I'd be like, yeah, Packers, man. And then we just go back to our separate jobs.
There was
in the warehouse, obviously.
There was a guy. I worked at a warehouse.
Yeah.
Forklift operator.
Yeah.
Right after high school. Forklift operator.
It's a good job for a young man.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. You just hang out and pack orders all day.
Did you have a CDL?
No.
FDL.
I got some crane operator. Something when I was in the Air Force. I can't remember.
Adjacent qualification.
Yeah. Anyways, but this was at fucking Sandoz. I was working at this generic pharmaceutical company. And actually the company that created LSD. But anyways, there was this guy from Africa, and I remember him telling me that he was, I'm from fucking, whatever, some bullshit, Congo bullshit. And I'm like, he's like, you're imagining like a dirt and, mud hut, aren't you? And I go, yeah. And he goes, let me show you what my city looks like. And it literally looks like New York.
Wow.
And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, I lived in the city. And he's like, yeah, but I came over here because, you can make more money in America.
So he had like a wealthy family or whatever? He was in the inner sanctum?
What city was it?
I don't remember.
It was in the Congo, like Central Africa, I guess, like Congo area.
Yeah. Well, he definitely had a hard accent.
He grew up in the Tel Aviv of whatever country it was, basically.
Yeah, but
the Tel Aviv only exists in Tel Aviv, John. That is very specific.
Well,
but he was so nice. He was so nice. He sent money back to his family all the time.
Yeah,
you'd always find those little gift cards that they get at 7-Eleven where you can send money to.
Sorry.
But now they just send Bitcoin, I think. Because now it's like, fuck that, man. I'll just send you Bitcoin over,
I've never really...
Yeah. That's how they do it now.
Yeah. Do you guys have...
Back in the day, they used to have that... They'd break out this big-ass fucking thing of cards, and they'd be like, where are you sending your money?
Right.
Oh, you're sending it to... Yeah, here's 100. There you go.
Wow.
And they would send it to fucking India or Pakistan or whatever.
Do you guys have any virtual currency?
Yeah.
You do?
Dude, don't get me started on that.
I got Steam cards.
I don't want to talk about this, but I will.
Fucking, it makes sense to me. Like the Bitcoin, makes sense. It's been around for almost 2 decades now or something.
Yeah, 2009.
2009.
2 decades, but yeah.
2009, yeah.
Yeah, so
good work.
But fucking with all the other offshoots of virtual currency, it just feels like a way for people to scam you.
Of course, it's a way for people to scam you. Let me cut you in.
Yeah. The art of sexual transmutation. No,
yeah, dude.
Never mind. That's a different one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, look, John.
Chapter 11.
From this Nigerian priest,
11.
prince lately.
Yeah.
Nigerian.
Sorry.
So strong and impelling is the desire for sexual contact.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah. No, wait. Okay, so 2016, 2017. I can pull up the Coinbase transactions.
What currency?
Ethereum. I got in on Ethereum.
What was first, Ethereum or Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Okay.
Bitcoin's a little later.
But how many years?
Ethereum came along in 2014, I believe, and then Ethereum Classic separated from it in 2016. So ETH and ETH Classic. And Ethereum is run by Vitalik Buterin, right? So I was like, fuck, this is the future. I was on /biz. I was on 4chan /biz back in the day. And I was reading up on Ethereum. So in February of 2017, 6 ETH, 31 ETH, 18 ETH for $300, Mm-hmm. I had a few thousand ETH by the end. I would probably say I had about 1,000 Ethereum tokens. It was about $10,000 that I had put in over a period of time, and then started trading into all these different digital currencies. By mid to late 2017, I was in the Air Force at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got into Digibyte at 0.0001 cent, whatever, and it went up to a penny. And I made $60,000, $70,000 in 4 days, where it just pumped and would not stop pumping. It might have been a couple weeks, but it was just such a short period of time of going from 10,000 to almost 100,000. And then I got, I traded out of that because you're just always on the hype. And I traded out of that and I got into, what was it? It would have been I did some ID currency, and it was 30 cents. It went to $1.30, and it was insane, just windfall, where you're I was at 200,000 or 300,000 in digital currency, and I put it into high performance blockchain, HPB, and it was, I want to say it was $6, and it went up to 14 or 15, and I was at $800,000, and then it went down to I got in okay, but it went up to, dude, it was at $800,000, and then the next day it was at like 200,000, and then the next day it was at like 30,000. It was like it just felt like it just boom all the way down. Ponzi scheme. I got scammed.
That's fucked.
But it happens to everybody. You're doing it to other people too. Mm-hmm. But then eventually you're holding the bags.
Yeah.
Right.
Eventually you are holding the bags. So what I learned from that is, what if I had just stayed in Ethereum from the beginning when I started buying that? I mean, I would be over $1 million already. Mm-hmm. So at this point, I think that there's only 3 that I would put any money into, and I do. And that's Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Just stick with the big 3 and don't worry about the rest. Worry about get the platform, the currency, and the other platform.
So would you say those 3 are the ones to buy into just because they're the most secure?
Or yeah. Like in my mind, they're the most secure long-term bets. Who knows if, Bitcoin is accepted worldwide, like if it actually starts, like if we actually have like a US backed currency with Bitcoin.
They are hoarding it.
Who knows? Yes, they are. And the big BlackRock is buying it. BlackRock's buying it. All the big ones are buying it.
Big banks.
So it does feel like this may be like the digital currency is Bitcoin. No matter what anybody tries to do, it just stays around. And global. This is it. This is when people I saw Sam Hyde talking about this, and I think he's spot on. When people talk about digital currency, they immediately think Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I lost all that fucking money, dude. That sucked shit. I wanted $1 million. That was my big thing. I wanted $1 million, man. I was right there. I was like
Mr. Krabs.
Because and it was really, I was like, I can buy myself out of my Air Force contract. Once you reach $1 million, you can talk to your commander and you can be like, look, I have $1 million. And because there's like some provision about like, if you win the lottery, you can get out. And I really wanted out, dude. Soon as I was in and at my job and realized like, dude, I'm working on a fucking nuclear missile and it's literally just, I was doing like electrical work, like super low level dumb shit. But I was like, dude, I'm fucking retarded and I'm working on this. I should not be here.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I was like, this is crazy. I could, through my job, be partially, just a cog in a machine of the end of civilization.
Right.
You're just like this little piece, this tiny piece. Oh, dude, it's terrifying.
You're
honestly.
saying that you would have to pay $1 million to get out of your contract?
No, you just go to them and you say that no matter what they do to you, you cannot be incentivized to work. It's the lottery, and $1 million really wouldn't be enough. But it's basically like a lottery condition of your contract where you like go to them and you're like, the biggest thing that the military will hold over you is we won't pay you.
Right.
And it's like, well, if you do that, I'm actually good.
Yeah.
So you can't incentivize me to work anymore.
Right.
So just let me go.
Wow.
And they'll just sign your honorable. You're gone. You're good.
You want that honorable thing.
Yeah, you just want the honorable thing of like, hey, I did my time.
So that when you go to Little Caesars.
Yeah. Yes. I can get a free $5 pizza.
Right.
And a 20-ounce beverage.
Right, of course.
And get the lunch combo.
Every time?
No. This is only on Veterans Day.
Okay, once a year.
and I do it every year. But I wasn't able to buy myself into the contract. I did my time. I served my country. I did my time. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Little Caesars does schlap, and Olive Garden. You gotta get, hey, Olive Garden does a free entree.
Nice.
Yeah. They love the troops.
And that's why I joined. It was just like the vaccine. Yeah. I heard Shake Shack had a free burger, and I was like, I gotta get that thing, bitch. Pump me full of that.
Some of the most quality ingredients in fast food, Shake Shack.
Yeah.
And the vaccine.
2 for 1.
Hell yeah, dude.
They put Shake Shake in the Vax?
Yeah, dude, I got a milkshake. I got a chocolate. I'll take a chocolate milkshake, please.
Wow.
Sweet.
A little myocarbitis.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, I'm a gay retard. You're sweating. Are you all right, bud?
Yeah, no.
You're fucked up.
You need some water?
You had too much?
No, I'm good, though.
You need water?
I would love water, but no, I'm good, though, man.
Yeah, here, just drink some of this. You ever have methylene blue?
No.
Don't worry, it's a textile dye.
Don't worry, you're just drinking textile dye.
Yeah, it's an industrial dye.
It's an industrial dye,
don't
and
worry
it's
about
really good for you.
Yeah.
It's good for your liver. It'll, like, rebuild your liver. It's a blue dye. Don't be scared if your urine is green. Don't be scared.
Yeah, or your puke.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be fine. See how it looks like Gatorade?
Yeah,
like
I saw that.
Gatorade.
It's water.
Yeah, it's just water, but it has blue textile dye in it.
Oh.
And your pee will turn green. You should drink more of that.
I'm okay for now.
Okay.
All right.
I don't want to set myself.
You want a little salt? You want a little salt and water?
No.
Fuck if I know. Fuck if I know what you need. Do you need a multivitamin?
No. I'll just vibe.
All right. You want another shot?
No.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, what else is happening? What did you say?
Fuck if I know. What is happening? What do you got going on? What do you guys got going on?
Nothing too much. Just kind of work.
You're doing a tour?
I did one. I was playing with a band last October.
Yeah.
I was gone. I traveled the U.S. for a month.
Okay. Where'd you go? What was it like?
I mean, it was fucking sick. It was exactly what I want to do for a living.
Yeah.
Just travel around and get paid to do art.
Where'd you go?
Started in San Francisco. I hopped on halfway through the tour. But started in San Francisco. Went up.
What kind
Northwest.
of music?
I was playing with a pop act.
Okay.
So.
And you play
drums.
So you play the drums with a little pop act.
Yep.
And you're going, San Francisco's where you start.
Yeah, then went up the Northwest and then hit
Oregon, Washington,
Portland,
small
Seattle.
Towns? What do you...
big towns. It was kind of like 200 to 400 people every show.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah, except Boise. Boise, there was a good 40. Sure. But that's smaller market, so it makes sense. But then, we went from Seattle, went to Boise, Salt Lake, Minneapolis, and then...
Minneapolis. Where the hell's that?
Minneapolis.
Like where the hell's Minneapolis?
What do you say?
Minneapolis.
Same difference, potato.
No, it's a small version of Apollos.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know about Roman culture.
Yeah, not my strong.
You don't even know about Apollos, bro?
Not a big Apollos guy. I don't think I know.
Wait, so you just did it? Was it cold?
No, it was relatively
springtime.
Yeah, no, it was October, so it was like right when things were getting cold.
Yeah, because the north gets fucking freezing.
Yeah, it does.
Played in a pop band, 40 people. Did you guys? I mean, what'd you guys do? Anything fucking crazy?
I mean, not really. I'm not really a crazy guy. I guess. You're manual breathing right now. Are you okay?
Bro.
Oh, yeah. Go to the bathroom, dog.
Oh, fuck.
Bro, that's hilarious. Those like fucking shorts he's wearing, too.
Yeah. First left there.
Jesus Christ.
I'm definitely driving his car back to the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that.
He'll be alright.
Sure, he'll be fine. He does this every day.
Well, he did the Edward 40 hands. I thought he'd be fine with. Did he finish the
Fireball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He housed
did
it.
Yeah, that's
and he's a little cross-faded. That's always when I barf, is when I'm cross-faded.
Yeah, that always catches up.
Yeah. That'll do it. Well. Oh, well.
Poor guy.
He'll make it through.
So ignorant about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the inner workings of feudal Japan.
Yeah. I sort of approach it like a Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like a Lord of the Rings super nerd, but it's just like actual stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like I really don't know anything either. I know way less than Liam.
Yeah.
And even though I know he's wrong about everything, I'm like, but you do know more than me. But to me, I just listen to people talk about it all day. It's like church or like a fairy tale or something. It's like
the Iraq War is like is your Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, once you're talking about like billionaires and shit, it's like so beyond, you know, where you'll ever be.
Yeah, it's so far removed from your everyday life where it's almost like Batman.
Yeah,
you can enjoy it like a story.
Yeah, it's like comic books and shit.
I've never thought about it like that, but I do feel the same way.
Yeah.
Because I love comics. I love a good story.
Right.
You know? And like when there's clear good guys and bad guys, or like the anti-hero, like it's like we live in like a Deadpool comic almost.
See, I like a good story, you know? Like the Sahif thing that I didn't learn until like just a few months ago.
Yeah.
With the guy like giving that press conference in Iraq where it's like there are no American infidels in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And you can hear gunshots in the background of his press conference. And the tanks are rolling down the street behind him as he's giving a press conference about how the Americans aren't there.
Yeah.
And it's like that type of Bud Dwyer level, like funny, you know, the guy you've seen Bud Dwyer?
No, I don't think so.
Bud Dwyer, he like embezzled a shitload of money and then blew his brains out on live TV.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
When was this?
The senator guy, right?
Yeah,
with the
senator
giant pistol,
in the 90s.
with like a huge pistol.
Yeah. And he just blew his fucking brains out on live TV.
You gotta check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, you gotta watch that shit, man. And this was like the 90s, and you know, like my parents saw that, and then I'm able to find the video and I can see it on the internet. And then I saw the fucking spot in the wall, and it's like that type of like, that's funny to me that happened.
Yeah. That
this guy blew his brains out on live TV. I find it funny.
It is funny. It's funny to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Sahif thing, that's the, you know, the comedy of the world is that.
Right.
So.
He's a honkler. He's what you call a, right?
A honkler.
Yeah. Or is that not?
Clown world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We live in a clown world.
Is that from?
And you got to be a honkler.
Son.
That's from 4chan. We live in a clown world, and you got to be the only answer is to be a honkler. The only answer is to say this world is run by clowns, literal clowns.
Yeah.
Honk honk.
Yeah. This world is so fucked.com.
Yeah, this world is fucked.com. Greatawakening.win.
What's that one?
That's the 4chan, or that's the QAnon one.
Oh.
That's the
Nice.
Yeah. 4chan is down. Greatawakening.win is still up.
Yeah.
I think they took down patriots.win.
Right.
That was like a that was like one of those.
Damn.
Oh, that's so funny.
It might as well be the dark web.
Yeah, it really is.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I never go to shit like
You
that.
all right?
What up, dog?
Luke, you want to head out?
What time is it?
Oh, sure.
Hour 26.
1 hour, 26 minutes. That's how long
shit. Yeah.
It's 6:45.
I probably
so you guys
should.
got to go to your thing, right?
Yeah, I probably should go ahead and
Okay.
skedaddle.
We'll call it.
Cool.